This video is brought to you by Asub12 Productions. Please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to enjoy the videos. Also, please try and comment and rate the videos. Thank you. Used again. So that's all we really need here though, to be honest, so that's not a problem. But anyway, the main thing I want to be looking in here is this cin. Now, remember I said this is actually collecting input. Well, that must mean it input has something to do with cin, and if you guessed that first, you're right. So first, let's create a variable to store our input. We're going to create an integer variable. Now really, the only variables that take input are, for instance, integers, longs, doubles, chars, and strings. You don't take input for boolean variables, because that's just ridiculous, you know. The user may not know what to enter, so you wouldn't do that. Anyway, moving on, we're going to say int num1, we're going to declare that. Now, you wouldn't normally initialize it, but if you feel you must initialize it, just initialize it as null. Okay, and now, to receive input, we're going to say stdcin, and remember from cout we use this operator, the output operator, which is 2 less than signs. We're going to use this 2 greater than signs, and this is called the input operator. And then we're just going to say the variable we want to input stuff into, and that is num1. Okay. So now here we've declared and defined variable num1, and we are yet to see what is going to be input into num1. And now we can simply output num1 here, like so. Okay. And actually, I'm just going to put an endo there. And just so the user knows what to input, I'm going to say stdcout. Please input a number. Okay, and don't put a /n or an endl there, because we want the flashing cursor that looks like this to be on the same line. If we put a /n or an endl, it'll be on the next line, and this just looks better. Okay, and now because there's nothing holding the program, we've got to make something hold the program. And to be honest, stdcin.get isn't the best way to hold the program. So what's an alternative way? Well, merely using char variables. We can declare a char variable h, which is a meaningless variable name, which is why it most likely won't be caught up with any other variable name, which is why it's a good variable name for something that holds the program. And whoops, crazy mouse. And then we're just going to input, I forgot the std prefix there, we're just going to stdcin h, and that will do exactly the same thing as a cin.get. It's better. It's a better way of doing it, really. It's more standard, and you always want to use standard C++, because standard C++ should work on all platforms. Okay, and now we're just going to build the solution. I'll just show you the this process here, and we're just going to click the run button. Okay, now here you can see we've got some text saying please input a number. I'm just going to input 50, and now it's going to output 50. And now we've got this flashing cursor here again, which will be the cin h. And we can't just press enter here because we've got to input a char variable. So we can, if we want, just put a space and then press enter. Maybe not actually. Okay, apparently we have to input some type of character. So I'm just going to input a semicolon, how convenient, and that will just end the program. Now we're not doing anything with the h character, although we could, okay, but we're not going to. This is just the whole program. I'm just going to demonstrate though. Actually, I just want to say num1 holds a value of semicolon output operator. Okay, and now please input a number. We're just going to copy and paste that and change number to character. Okay, that's all we need to do. And we'll declare our character variable up here, char1, and again we'll just declare it to null. Okay, now next line, std sin char1, and then I'll just copy and paste this and change this to char1 and this to char1. Okay, now if we build this project, and note it's probably a good idea to separate this off, because this isn't actually a process of what this block is doing, and also separate that off because here we're outputting and then taking an input, here we're declaring variables, and here we're holding the program. It's generally a good idea to sort of format your program like that, so it's neat. Okay, please input a number. Again, I'm just going to input 50. Okay, num1 holds a value of 50. Now, please input a character. Again, I'll put in a semicolon. char1 holds a value of semicolon. And then, again, this is char h holding the program, and if we just input anything, I'll input R for instance, and that will end the program. Okay, so basically we've just covered inputting into integers and char variables, and before I told you what you generally input stuff into, and as I stated before, we're not going to go over strings yet, and inputting into longs and doubles is the same way as inputting into integer variables. And I think as well, when you input into a long or double, if the user inputs an integer, the program will convert that integer into a decimal by adding the point naught on, like we did before in the maths C++ video. So anyway, this has just been a short tutorial covering input and the 3 type modifiers. Before I end as well, in this, because short int is quite a big way to define a short int, we can just say short, and that will declare a short int and by the variable name num3. Okay, so that's just something I wanted to quickly clear up. So anyway, this has just been a tutorial covering input and the 3 type modifiers. Over and out.